The rain poured over the small school parking lot as a young black girl named Ava stood frozen beside a police car. Her eyes were wide, not from guilt, but disbelief. An officer had just mocked her, laughing as she said her mother was in the special forces. "Sure, kid," he had said, his smirk cutting deeper than the cold rain. But Ava didn't argue. She just whispered, "You'll see." What none of them knew was that in less than an hour, the truth would shake everyone to their core. Before we continue, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because what happens next will leave you speechless. Ava had always been quiet, the kind of girl who never raised her voice, even when she was right. At 12 years old, she was used to being underestimated. Her classmates whispered behind her back, calling her a liar whenever she mentioned her mom's military service. To them, she was just another kid with big stories. But Ava never exaggerated. Everything she said about her mother was true. Every single word. Her mom, Sergeant Maya Brooks, was one of the most decorated Special Forces officers in the country, often deployed on dangerous missions overseas. But she never liked to talk about it. "Real heroes don't need an audience," she'd always tell Ava with a smile. One rainy Friday afternoon, Ava's teacher asked her to stay behind after class for a minor misunderstanding about a broken tablet. A call was made, unnecessarily, to the local police. When the officer arrived, his tone was cold, dismissive. He looked at Ava, then at her modest clothes, and said, "You kids always have excuses. Where are your parents?" Ava calmly replied, "My mom's away. She's serving." The officer chuckled, shaking his head. "Serving? What, in a restaurant?" The laughter stung. Students passing by giggled as Ava's cheeks flushed red. She wanted to cry, but instead she whispered softly, "She's a soldier." The man's smirk widened. "Sure she is, sweetheart." But deep inside that storm, miles away, Sergeant Maya Brooks had just landed on U.S. soil after a mission. And the moment she'd check her phone, everything in that school was about to change. The police officer, Sergeant Cole, wrote something in his notepad, barely glancing at Ava. His smirk said everything. He didn't believe a word she said. Inside the small principal's office, Ava sat alone on the cold wooden chair, her backpack on her lap like a shield. Her teacher stood near the door, arms crossed, whispering to the officer about how kids like her always make up stories. Each word landed like a punch. Ava wanted to vanish. Minutes turned into an hour. The rain outside grew heavier, tapping against the windows, like a ticking clock counting down to something unseen. Ava quietly texted her mom. "Mom, they called the police. Please come." Miles away, Sergeant Maya Brooks was stepping off a military transport jet, her boots hitting the tarmac with authority. She'd just completed a classified mission, exhausted, bruised, and eager to hug her daughter again. When she checked her phone, she froze. One message from Ava. 10 simple words that made her heart race. Back at the school, the principal entered the office, trying to keep her tone calm, but failing. "Ava, your story has to make sense. You said your mother is in the army, right? Do you have proof?" Ava bit her lip, fighting tears. "She's on her way." Sergeant Cole chuckled. "Yeah, right. I'll believe that when I see her walk through that door wearing camouflage." He looked at the teacher and grinned. "Maybe she'll parachute in." The adults laughed softly. Outside, the distant rumble of thunder masked another sound. A black SUV pulling up near the school gates. The guard stepped out, startled as a tall woman in a tactical jacket emerged. Her uniform bore insignias that only elite soldiers wore, badges earned through blood and fire. Sergeant Maya Brooks didn't walk. She commanded every step. Her presence made even the air feel heavy. Students peered through classroom windows as whispers spread across the halls. Someone important's here. Inside the office, Sergeant Cole's phone buzzed. A message from security. There's a military officer here asking for her daughter, Ava Brooks. Clearance requested. Cole frowned, confused. That's not possible. Moments later, the door opened. The teacher's voice faltered mid-sentence as a woman in full combat gear stepped inside. Eyes cold, jaw clenched, her posture unmistakably authoritative. Ava looked up, eyes wide, whispering, "Mom!" For the first time, Sergeant Cole didn't have anything to say. His arrogance evaporated. The room fell silent except for the sound of dripping rain outside. Maya glanced around slowly, then at her daughter. The only thing that mattered. Then her gaze shifted to the officer, piercing and unshakable. Without a single word, he knew he'd made a mistake that would haunt him forever. The office air turned heavy as Sergeant Maya Brooks stepped fully inside. Every medal on her chest told a story of sacrifice, missions, battles, soldiers she'd led home and those she couldn't. The American flag patch on her sleeve seemed to burn brighter against the dull school walls. "Ma'am, this area's restricted to staff, and—" The principal's voice broke mid-sentence as Maya laid her military ID on the desk. The golden emblem of Special Forces Command gleamed under the flickering light. Sergeant Cole froze. His confident posture melted into unease. He scanned the ID once, twice. Her name, her rank, her authority. All real, he stammered. You're the Major Maya Brooks?" Maya didn't answer. She turned toward her daughter instead, kneeling so they were eye level. Her gloved hands gently cupped Ava's face. "You did the right thing, baby," she whispered. Ava's tears finally broke free. Then Maya stood, taller, stronger, and infinitely more intimidating. She faced the principal and the officer who had mocked her child. "You called the police on a little girl," she said, voice low, calm, deadly steady. "And you laughed at her for telling the truth." Cole opened his mouth, but no sound came out. The principal tried to speak, but Maya's glare silenced her. "You see these?" Maya lifted her sleeve, revealing deep scars along her forearm. "These aren't decorations. They're proof that I fought for this country, for people like you to feel safe. And yet my daughter isn't safe in her own school." The room went silent. No one dared move. In that moment, every whisper, every smirk, every ounce of disbelief that Ava had endured came crashing down on them like a storm. The shame in their eyes was louder than any apology could ever be. Maya took her daughter's hand. "We're leaving," she said, voice steady. "And you'll hear from my lawyer." Without another word, she walked out, leaving behind a silence so heavy it felt like judgment itself. By the next morning, the story had already spread beyond the school. A student had recorded the moment Maya walked in, uniform glistening with rain, standing tall beside her daughter. The video went viral overnight. News anchors repeated her name with reverence. Headlines read, "Decorated War Hero Confronts Racism at Local School." Social media exploded. Thousands of parents, veterans, and ordinary citizens demanded accountability. The principal resigned within days, citing personal reasons. Sergeant Cole was placed on administrative leave while the department launched a formal investigation. But Maya didn't care for revenge. She cared for change. At a press conference days later, Maya stood in her uniform before flashing cameras. "I didn't share this story to humiliate anyone," she said calmly. "I shared it because no child should have to prove their worth, especially to those who are supposed to protect them." Behind her, Ava stood proudly, holding a small medal her mother had once given her. Reporters noticed the same medal Maya had received for bravery in combat. A symbol of courage passed from mother to daughter. The audience applauded, but for Maya, the real victory was quieter. That night, as she tucked Ava into bed, the little girl whispered, "Mom, you didn't just save people in the war, you saved me too." Maya smiled softly. "No, sweetheart, you saved yourself by telling the truth." Outside, the night was calm. The same rain that once felt cold and cruel now washed the city in silver light, like a clean slate. And as the video continued to spread, millions were reminded of one undeniable truth. Courage isn't about fighting battles overseas. It's about standing tall when the world doubts who you are. If you believe in justice, equality, and courage, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more powerful real-life stories that inspire change.